because he always just goes to attack it when like defenders.
I think it's like.
Arsenal won the World Cup. Well, technically Spain won it, but Mikel Merino, Martin Zubimendi and David Raya are returning to North London as world champions. I mean, my heart bleeds for Mascara. I think you could have been in the Spain squad and obviously played. Arsenal had technically, I believe, 16 players called up for the World Cup. Obviously, Juri and Timber couldn't participate for the Netherlands, so we had 15 players at this tournament, and our players produced assists, goals, big knockout moments. Shout out to Double M once again. Experienced heartbreak. And we ended it where England are concerned with, you know, a great performance from England and Arsenal players in particular. Rice getting a goal and an assist, Eze getting an assist, a barely fit Bukayo Saka getting a hat trick. What's that? 3 goals, 3 assists in whatever minutes. You know, a half fit Bukayo is amazing. So today I wanted to go through exactly what I think us as Arsenal fans learned about the World Cup or were reminded of people. In case you've been living under a rock, commiserations to the World Cup villains and the biggest World Cup villains I have seen in my 31 years in Argentina. More punches thrown than shots on target in a World Cup final. Disgracefulness. But commiserations to them. Football won. Congratulations to Spain and all the Arsenal boys and everybody in particular. As I said, Raya, Zubamendi and Mikel Merino are world champions. Mikel Merino in particular, for me, is genuinely clutch. We know this, people. We've seen it several times. He might not be the best player in the Arsenal or Spain squad. He might not be the one that plays 90 minutes. But his brother doesn't need 90 minutes. He needs one chance, one loose ball, or one moment inside the penalty area. We've seen it for his club, and we saw it for his country. Sent Cristiano Ronaldo packing. He scored the late winner against Portugal, came off the bench against Belgium and grabbed another winner. You know, did not personally eliminate Messi and Mbappe, but he was part of the Spain squad that did that against France and then in Argentina. You know, again, he's a fantastic player to have in the squad. He's got that clutch gene, which we've lost with Trossard now. So I don't expect you to be the key players, but throughout a season, it's summed up by moments. And the World Cup kind of shown that it's like a mini club season all in one. Mikel Merino's needed, as is Kai Havertz. Merino just needs one opportunity. It's a shame he didn't score in the final, but yeah, people, we need somebody like this. And how many times has he provided that clutch moment? The lesson for Arsenal, for me, is simple. It's not luck anymore. Merino is one of our best chaos players and one of our best penalty box midfielders / strikers. You know, turned the 6 upside down. You know, he directly bagged against Belgium and Portugal as well. So he might not started in the final. He might not get the praise that a Yamal might get, a Rodri might get, you know, a Kobasi or Laporte might get. But again, I'm sure everybody internally at Spain and obviously the Spanish fan base, they recognize his contributions. And then there's a reminder that Bukayo Saka is still dangerous. You know, he's had hip injuries, Achilles injuries, hamstring injuries. His fitness has had to be guided. We get that man fit and back to it. Death taxes and Bukayo bagging. This is what we need. Apparently, people needed reminding about Bukayo Saka. He was creating before he was scoring. Then he ended the tournament with a hat-trick against France. 3 goals and 3 assists, despite not starting every major game. And, you know, I find it baffling where you see the amount of minutes Rice played and the amount of minutes Bukayo played against, obviously, France in the 3rd place playoff. And then you look at the decisions made in the Argentina game. Hindsight's 2020, but Tuchel, that don't make sense. Saka doesn't always need to dominate every touch. He can be quiet, and then he can destroy you in 5 minutes. Heading back into Arsenal this season, the danger is still there. We need to monitor his fitness, but the only question is nothing to do with his quality. It's whether his body gets enough time to recover and we're able to keep him fit, people. 3 goals, 3 assists, got 3 goals against England in their 6-4 victory against France. And Declan twice. Now, this World Cup for me has reminded a couple of people about their shitty opinions regarding Jude Bellingham, regarding Bukayo Saka, regarding Declan Rice, regarding Kylian Mbappe, and regarding even a Rodri, people. I don't care what they tell me. Declan Rice is absolutely world class. Is he the maverick in the middle of the park? No. Protects your defense, can carry a ball forward, able to take a set piece, able to pop up in certain moments. One of the only 100+ million pound players that you don't talk about his price tag, and he makes 105 million look cheap. I do not know how many more club seasons, Champions League performances, or international tournaments people need. He's one of him and Saka, and more so on Rice, one of the most lied about footballers in this country. He can protect, carry, create, assist, arrive inside the box and lead a team. Now, I'm not here to, beyond the obvious, to sing Declan Rice's praises. I don't really care what people have to say about him. But if you've played the game at any level, I ain't played professional, but Sunday League, etc., or you ask his England teammates, his Arsenal teammates, his West Ham teammates, and things like that, everybody needs a player like Declan Rice in their team. Everybody benefits from that. If you've been in the trenches on a football pitch, you will know people. And it was a lovely finish against France. Clearly, another one where Rice is concerned. The concern is not ability. The concern is the number of minutes this man keeps having to play, people. And at some point, we're going to have to take time with him. And then you look at Odegaard. For me, the main thing is Odegaard finding his rhythm. Obviously, he's got to stand up to be counted for Norway. Him and Haaland are the Mavericks. They're the ones that the nation's bearing is falling on. Obviously, Norway gave a great account of themselves in this World Cup, collectively and individually. And if it wasn't for some brilliance, they would have been in England's place, people. So Norway did their thing. But and he obviously has to consider that. But for me with Odegaard, it was about, like, away from that, like having a mini pre-season, finding your rhythm, getting back to what you need to. Where goals and assists concerned, there's still, for me, sometimes he's one touch or one pass too many or looking to shoot too late. But I think it was a reminder as to why he's a key player for Arsenal and Norway, whether we like it or not. And I say that to say this: the pressing, the organization of his team, dropping into midfield, all of that stuff he gives collectively. We know that, and we've seen that at Arsenal. For Odegaard now, it's about doing that, but also getting back to his best, being a difference maker, because history's kind to him. He's the captain that's ended our 22-year drought. He's a captain that's given a very good performance with the bunch of his teammates for Norway in the quarterfinals. But there's also that. And I said it as well, with Odegaard, it's not that clearly I can recognize what he gives the collective, but I do think it's scary territory when someone as good as Odegaard, with the vision, with all of that, we talk about how he presses, etc. It's the same vein with Martinelli on the left-hand side, where we sit there and say he helps us defensively. These are obviously things you need, but we need to do more than that, if I'm honest. I would say there's many things about him, man. I like the fact that he's a bit of a shithouser, and even me with Odegaard, like, I never really saw him antagonizing referees and all of those kind of things. Getting confidence in your body, getting rhythm in your body, carrying responsibility, leading your team through difficult matches and moments. Hopefully he returns back to the Emirates sharper, more confident, and ready to impose himself again for Arsenal, people. He got 3 assists as Norway reached the quarterfinals before obviously losing in extra time to England. Now, you look at someone like Eze. Eze was a bit of a peripheral figure, if I'm honest. I did like, on occasion, Tuchel's use of him, especially against France, when he was playing a bit more centrally and things like that. I'm not saying one international tournament means Arteta should completely change his system, but Eze shown he can receive between the lines, carry the ball from midfield, create centrally. He's got his assist for Saka, kind of summed up the moments. And against certain low blocks, couldn't Eze Rice midfield be something? And this is why I know Eze can play left wing, but this is why I think you kind of clip his wings playing him out wide, if I'm honest. So yeah, he was on the peripheral, but it was nice to see him get an assist and supply Saka as England confirmed 3rd place. And then you look at Noni Madueke, who actually in the early stages of the World Cup was probably England's best attacker, people. But unfortunately, Noni Madueke is still Noni. Direct, brave, unpredictable, and always willing to attack his fullback. Clearly, a vast majority of the time, 98% of the time, his decision-making is lacking. It will frustrate you. Sometimes he'll create something from absolutely nothing. And he does give Arsenal a different profile. And that matters in a squad across a long season. Still incredibly frustrating. Now, where Gabriel Magalhaes is concerned, of course, it was terrible from Brazil. Again, you can see in the modern day, it's about systemic football, but they're just so out of sorts. The midfield ain't got legs and they're outnumbered. The fullbacks are too far apart. The centre-halves haven't got a good relationship. Midfield, the link between midfield, defence, attack, it's all disjointed, and obviously the goal is nothing to do with ability. It's more just coaching. But I do think Magalhaes reminded everyone he's still one of the best centre-halves around, man. Brazil going out early does not change that. He competed, defended aggressively, even registered an assist during the tournament, people. Not to mention, was part of the dramatics with Martinelli in the early stages. There's nothing in this World Cup that made me question him. The main objective with him is now getting home healthy and resting, which has been the theme, I think, of this video. So yeah, man, unfortunately for Brazil and Gabriel Magalhaes, they reached the last 16. I also have to big up William Saliba. Unfortunately, his time ended prematurely in the World Cup. He came off with France being a goal down with 30 minutes to go. But I think Saliba's in my team of the tournament. Kobasi and him would be my centre-half. So Saliba's reputation took no harm. But again, the back, the injuries, and things of that ilk. Now I'm probably reaching, but does Martinelli playing through the middle give Mikel Arteta food for thought? You saw him play as a striker. You've seen him play very differently, but in the Odegaard role, if that makes sense. And again, Arteta clearly knows this because he's worked and trained with Martinelli, so he knows his capabilities. And I don't necessarily want Arsenal to copy and paste the role, but it showed maybe another side of him in the goal people of having just different recipes in our ingredient book, if that makes sense. He's shown he can attack space, make runs beyond defenders. Instead of always receiving near the touchline, he could arrive centrally. And you saw his late winner against Japan. It's also a reminder that he remains capable of producing a major moment, people. And even that, we're a long way away from what he was in 2022-23. But in the seasons that's followed, he's had many kind of clutch moments for this football club. Then you look at Kai Havertz, his season ended, well, his tournament ended strong, but it was he had a strong tournament, but it was a painful ending for him and Germany. Individually, whatever you say about him, he began brilliantly. And you could see, a bit like Odegaard, you could see why in the modern day, in our case, Mikel Arteta, he's central. I think you can see that with Mikel Merino, I think you can see that with Odegaard, and I think you saw that with Kai Havertz, whether I think he should be playing up front or not. I'm putting my feelings to the side, people. 3 goals in 4 games, and he looked dangerous for Germany. Then obviously Germany went out on penalties and he missed their opening kick. So it's another bit of penalty heartbreak at the World Cup, just like with the Champions League final. That moment will dominate the memory, but it will not erase the football before it. 3 World Cup goals suggest he remains a valuable attacking option. The penalty miss is something he has to recover from mentally, people. And we will remember, how well he played, but Paraguay did their thing. Gyökeres helped drag Sweden to the World Cup and at least left with a goal. 1 goal and 2 assists is respectable considering Sweden went out in the first knockout round. He's shown he needs service, he needs runners, and he needs opportunities, and he'll do the rest. I think the biggest lesson that I would have learned for Arsenal is our squad contains very good players. If I'm honest with you, we had at one point we had 10 players remaining in the knockout stage. We had 15, 16 players playing there. I think only Manchester City are second. We're only second to Manchester City for minutes played, people. We've got goal scorers, we've got creators, we've got captains, we've got defenders, and we've got 3 world champions. Arsenal players recorded the second most minutes among Premier League clubs at the tournament. Only Manchester City were above us. And obviously, you're seeing the rumours around Magalhaes, around Saka, around Declan Rice. Timber missed out. The spine of the squad is something that really concerns me with the amount of minutes they played last season, going into this World Cup, and whenever they return at whatever point ahead of the 2026-27 season. Again, we've got players, man. That is a compliment to the quality of the squad, but it's also a warning, people. These players are not returning from a holiday, and Mikel Arteta has to manage the Bukayo Sakas, the Declan Rices, the William Salibas, the Gabriel Magalhaes, and the rest properly when the season begins. We logged 4,490 World Cup minutes. That places us, again, only behind Manchester City with 5,322. So, yeah, man, as I said, Arsenal may not technically have entered the World Cup, but Arsenal players are everywhere. Merino returned as a champion with Zubamendi and obviously David Raya. Saka reminded everyone about his quality. Rice looked world-class. Whether that is a pivot that, can change a game state because Elliot Anderson and Rice are not, that's another thing. It showed Arteta that he's got different tactical options. But again, that man knows that. It's a reminder to us Arsenal fans. So I would say, if I've missed out anything, let me know. Let me know which gun has impressed you the most and which performances give you the most confidence heading into the new season.